Hello, IHSA football family. Welcome to season number 4 of the DuPage Run and Shoot show. We got a brand new team in the house for this year, starting with your new host. I'm Patrick Codo, the former co-host, now new host of the DuPage Run and Shoot. And I have a new partner with us on the show. It's Matt Lauterbach. Matt, welcome to the DuPage Run and Shoot family.
Hey, Pat, thanks for having me on here. It's a lot of fun being able to do this. Met you last year when I started at NCTV alongside you, and I'm ready for this football season to start.
Oh, yes, Matt. It's going to be an exciting football season for DuPage County. It's good to have football back.
Yeah, it's good to have football back. I'm excited to work some games tomorrow. I'll actually be working the Neuqua Valley game out in Oswego, so that one will be pretty nice to do.
Oh, who's taking the North game now?
Preston and I swapped.
Oh, he agreed to drive up there? Okay.
Yep, yep, yep. Him and I swapped, so
The Neuqua Oswego
I'll be
game. Well, the
doing.
Neuqua Oswego game should be a good one. In fact, it's one of many good games that we're going to have tomorrow, starting with Naperville Central taking on Hinsdale Central. We saw this matchup last year, Matt. A close 14-10 win for the Redhawks. I expect it to be close again.
I expected to be close again too. I was with you at that match. That was one of my training sessions for NCTV last year, and that was a good game. Naperville Central has a really good defense. They lost a couple guys, but they still got a lot of them coming back. And this team
Yes.
was destined, I feel, to make a really deep run last year. Unfortunately, they ran into Barrington and collapsed down the stretch in the second half, but I like Naperville Central going forward as perhaps the best team right now that we have in the DVC. We'll see what other teams have, but I really like their lineup.
Yeah, the DVC or Southwest Valley Conference, whatever the hell you want to call it. The Herald's calling it that, but because you have the DVC teams and the Southwest suburban teams, which I like that move. It helps
Yeah,
out with the competition and stuff. Because let's be real, Matt, the DVC has not been strong these past few years.
they had easily a good schedule going up against some of the other DVC teams like DeKalb, Metea Valley. I mean, Waubonsie, they even took care of business against Waubonsie. They swept Naperville North too, right?
They beat North once. They split with Neuqua. I think this schedule for Central and the other schools are really, just pivotal in general. Because not only you play some
Yeah,
good
yeah.
competition, but it helps you get ready for the playoffs because every team in the playoffs is a good team.
Yeah, every team that qualifies for it is automatically pretty good. And we saw Naperville Central last year. I mean, they had Barrington on the ropes for a little bit, and then in the second half, Barrington finally woke up on
Yeah.
offense and took care of them, and then defense shut down the Red Hawk offense. So I expect Naperville Central to fix up some of those mistakes.
So looking at some of the returners, you were talking about the defense, Matt. You obviously got the new Nussbaum twins, Jake Stanish up front. You also got a transfer from Texas who also grew up in Naperville, Garrett Nichols, Nick Zabilet, Gavin Wade, another Ellison on the team. So a good chunk on that central defense and on the offense. You want to talk about this offense. The offense looks new, but dangerous. Starting at the
Yeah.
quarterback with Sebastian Hayes, 6'4", dude's coming off 2 ACL tears, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's ready to go. And Jack Cook last year did pretty much what he needed to. Obviously, he wasn't able to get them over the hump in the playoffs, but I'm excited to see what Sebastian Hayes, coming off of 2 ACL tears, is able to do. He's ready. He's hungry for it. He's looking to get himself going in the right direction. And I feel like under a revitalized Naperville Central offense, that's going to be nothing but good for the Red Hawks.
Exactly. You also got Deshaun Williams at wide receiver. You got Aiden Clark back at running back. And
Yeah, Saban
last year,
Clark.
they did graduate Logan Devick and Chris Byrne, but you got Chris Byrne's brother, Vince Byrne, also who will be catching passes, along with Finn
Oh,
Schultz and Connor Marvin. Definitely names to look out for. I expect another big season from Naperville Central. It starts off week 1 against Hinsdale Central. They could give Naperville Central a fight. Riley Contreras is back for another year for the Red Devils. Should be a good game tomorrow night.
should be a very good game. I last year's was a nail biter, especially on defense. Both teams were moving the ball, but the defense was able to come up with key takeaways at the right time. I'm excited to see what this matchup provides here tomorrow between the two central teams.
Yep, Riley Contreras definitely learned a lot last year from the Red Devils. I expect him to take an extra step forward this year, but for this matchup tomorrow, I'm going to take Naperville Central over Hinsdale Central. This game will be decided by no more than one possession.
I agree with that. I think Naperville Central wins, but it's going to be a close one down to the wire. I'm going to go score prediction 21-17 Red Hawks.
21-17 Red Hawks. Okay, okay. I like that. I like that. I'll do I feel like with how good Naperville Central's offense is, I'm gonna pump that score up a little bit and say 27-20 Central.
27-20. Okay. All right.
27-20. Both offenses will improve.
Yeah.
Defenses will still make their moves, but I'll say 27-20 Central. Now
I
let's
I
yeah,
like that score too.
yep. Now let's take a look at their crosstown rivals who will take a trip up to Winnetka tomorrow. Naperville North takes on New Trier. Naperville North is another team that could seriously make some noise this year. Now, they've
Yeah.
had good seasons in the past, but haven't won a playoff game since 2010. Obviously, got to win all those games to get there, but yeah, North hasn't won a playoff game since
Yeah.
2010. That road starts tomorrow against New Trier.
Yeah, I mean, Naperville North, I've covered a couple games for them last year. They've had some good teams. I was at the crosstown game between them and Central last year. That was a nail biter to the finish. And this is the year for them to make or break something happen here. And they got a big road game tomorrow night, all the way out in New Trier. So I was initially going to work that one, and then I swapped that one with a good buddy of mine at NCTV. So um, he'll be making the long drive up there. I got other things I need to take care of, and we'll be working a closer game tomorrow night. But yeah, you said this was going to be a good matchup going in, and New Trier, that's going to be a tough little test here for the Red Hawks early on.
You mean the Huskies?
Or the Huskies, I'm sorry, the Huskies. I mean, yeah, looking at their schedule last year, New Trier had a lot of close losses, I would say. They lost barely to Prospect, they lost barely to Barrington and Evanston. They had some close matchups, but I think for Naperville North, this is going to be a good challenge for them to get themselves going in the right direction.
I was just gonna say you look at New Trier last year. They finished 3-6. If they win at least two of those games, they're a playoff team.
Exactly, exactly. They came oh so close yet so far. And then looking at the Huskies schedule from last year, I mean, they were just right around there at 5-4. Also had some little bit of tough losses there as well, but they've had some good wins go their way. Unfortunately, just barely missed out on the playoffs after collapsing to Glenbard West. So I think this year's a good right year for them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Naperville North. I mean, yeah, yeah, for North, 6-3 last year with some big wins. One of those big wins was against home at Flossmoor.
Yes.
They could have beat Nequa, but turnovers bit them in the ass.
They could have
Glenbard
beat
West
Central. Could have,
could have beat Central.
yeah.
They lucked out playing Wabanzi twice to end the year. And then, yeah, they just couldn't get over the hump against Glenbard West. And let's be real, man, that game was over from the start because Glenbard West returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Yeah. They they set they set a lot of the tone for it with they set a lot of the tone with it for that opening return for the kickoff
Yep.
touchdown. That just basically set the tone. Is like, okay, yeah, this game's already over before it starts. So they were ready to play that one. North came out a little bit unprepared, but I think the Huskies have learned quite a bit
Yes.
from last year, and hopefully we see them start to turn it around a little bit because we like more good football coverage and DVC for NCTV.
Yes, sir. And one of the huge benefits for North is Jacob Bell is back at quarterback. He'll be throwing to receivers Brock Petaway and Quinn Morris. Quinn Morris, a transfer from Plainfield East. So don't sleep on this Husky offense.
No, you cannot sleep on this Husky offense here right now. Just trying to get a look at their roster, but yeah, they had some good pieces last year at Cole Arl, unfortunately not coming back, graduating, I believe, but
Yep.
they got some other guys there to fill that spot, and I think honestly they'll make some noise tomorrow against New Trier. I really do.
Exactly. But I wouldn't sleep on this new trio team. Like you said, like we talked about, 3-6 last year. They lost they lost a couple close games. They pull out some of those close games. They're a playoff team. Again, it should be a good one, but I'm going to take Naperville North over New Trier.
I'm going to take Naperville North over New Trier as well. This is going to be a close one. I'm going to go final score 24-17 Huskies.
I feel like the Huskies, for what they've done against some of these good teams in past seasons, they've been able to run up the scoreboard. So I'm going to take a little score prediction on this one as well. I'm going to say Naperville North 38, New Trier 21.
Yep, that's a good prediction.
Next one. Wabanzi Valley takes on Oswego East. The Warriors took down the Wolves last year, 28-7. This year the Warriors go to Oswego East. I am still gonna take this Wabanzi Valley. Sure, Wabanzi Valley lost a lot, but they have some new and good pieces. They have a new head coach with the coach Puchalowski taking over. You have key returners back like Christian Simmons, Josh Tinney, and Owen Roberts, and will likely be starting quarterback Colin Ford, the junior.
Yeah, I liked what Wabanzi did last year. I mean, this team 2 years ago went winless the entire season, and last year they had some good games. They barely missed out on the playoffs, I believe. Ended up losing it down the stretch, but
They lost.
that
They finished 4-5 and lost 3 straight games to end the season last year. They went 4-2. They were 1 win away from playoff eligibility, and then just completely took a gigantic step back.
yeah, they collapsed down the stretch, but I did like a lot of what I saw from that Warriors team to start the season last year. I honestly, I like them coming in. I mean, just looking at some of their games from last year, they were pretty much in it. They took a big step forward. I thought they were one of the more improved teams from where they were a
Right.
season ago. But we'll just have to wait and see what let's have to wait and see what happens with how they do this year. But against Oswego East, I like them.
I like the Warriors as well against Oswego East. Should be a good one tomorrow. Next one. Metea Valley takes a trip to Downers Grove South. What can we expect from the Mustangs this year? Obviously, they cannot go worse than 0-9. It's I guess we'll just have to wait and see how Metea does. You got
I
Jake
mean,
McLeod back at quarterback after an ACL tear last year. You have Charles Flowers back in the backfield along with defensive end Brandon No. I mean, I see
I
I see a couple wins out of Mattia this year. That's for sure.
you can't get much lower than where the Mustangs were last year. You can only go up from here. You can't get any lower. I mean, I covered a couple of Mattia games last year. I was at their season finale in DeKalb, and again, I think quarterback is a position that they struggled the most at last year. You obviously talked about their QB coming back after an ACL tear from last year. They ended up starting a guy who wasn't originally a quarterback by the name of Lucas
Exactly.
Van
Lucas Van
Valera.
Blair, who was basically everywhere last year on
Yeah,
offense and defense. And I'm just hoping the other thing for Mattia too, I'm just hoping that if that their numbers went up. Because
I
that's been
hope.
for a while. Their numbers have not been the best. And I'm also hoping too that, I'm hoping Coach Parpet brings up a couple sophomores because last year the freshman team went 6-3.
Yeah, I mean they have good promise on the freshman team. I think they got some guys that are ready to play, but I mean to be honest with you, they really, they really came out struggling last year, and you could tell Lucas Van Valera, he's probably good
He
at a
had
lot of
good
other
and bad moments.
positions. Yeah, he had his good and bad moments, but you could tell that they were sorely missing their starting QB. I was at their end of the season game against DeKalb. That was a winnable game for them. They were up 10-6 at halftime, and Van Valera, I believe, threw three interceptions in the second half and costed them the game in the end
Brilliant.
there. So, against the DeKalb team that didn't really have a good defense last year. So,
Exactly. And Mattia Valley will take on Downers Grove South. So that will definitely be a very tough matchup. I'm going to
yeah.
give the edge to Downers Grove South. They are the better team this week. And here's a fun fact, Matt. It's been at least 10 years since these two teams have won a week one game. Downers Grove South hasn't won a week one game since 2011. Mattia also hasn't won a week one game since 2014.
Wow. And that was the last time Mattia Valley qualified for the playoffs, I believe.
Exactly. So exactly. Last time they got a week one win, but we'll see. But I'm gonna give the edge to Downers Grove South.
I'm also going DGS here too. I'm gonna take them with a 27-10 score margin over Mattia.
27-10. Okay, okay. Yeah. Downers Grove South. Sure, they made the playoffs the last couple years, but you want to improve your seeding, get off to a good start. Because the last two they started 0-3 last year.
Yeah, that was not a good start for them at all. But
Nope.
they have a chance. I think this is the best chance for them to secure their first week one win in 13 years this week against a Mattia Valley team that has a lot of young promise, but they have a lot of growing up that they need to do in order to be varsity ready.
Again, I do see a couple wins out of the Mustangs this year. The Mattia Valley
I
Mustangs. I do see a couple wins.
Yeah, these are two Mustang teams going at it here, but yeah,
The battle of the Mustangs.
yes.
The Downers Grove South Mustangs will get the win.
I give the Donis Grove South Mustangs the win, but Mattia Valley, those Mustangs, I feel they'll have a couple wins in the future for them
Exactly.
this year. Hmm.
Next one. Bennett Academy takes on Hillcrest. Bennett Academy is coming off 3 straight 4 and 5 years. Is this the year Bennett gets over the hump and gets back to the playoffs?
You've been saying it all year, all last year. The Red Wings just keep tripping over themselves a lot, and it's costed them a lot of playoff spots. I mean, last year they could have
Bennett's a team just had a bad collapse at the end of the year.
they've had bad collapses to end the season, but I I don't know what's in the future for them, but this year they really need to get over the hump. They really need to do something, and hopefully against a team like Hillcrest, they can actually do something good. I'm trying to look at Hillcrest here, but yeah,
Ryan Kubaki is back for another year with the Red Wings. You'll have Liam Rooney, Declan Walsh, and Joe Rody on the D line. Dan Flores and Matt Radgowski are the key linebackers.
yeah.
Radgowski will also play wide receiver along with Michael O'Rourke on the offensive line. I feel like Bennett could get off to a good start again.
Bennett
They
can
got,
definitely,
they got off to a 2-0 start last year, which showed some promise, and then just let a
yeah.
couple games get away from them.
They just let a couple games slip and slide, but Hillcrest last year, I mean, they made the playoffs, 7-4 record, 4-2 in conference. But despite that, they did have a negative point differential as a result of that big blowout loss that they had. They had a couple of blowout losses last year to teams like Bremen. They got blown the door out by Providence Catholic in the playoffs. But yeah, this year I'm looking at Bennett right now. I'm saying that they have what it takes to get over the top. I think this is going to be a close one between them and Hillcrest.
And I say Bennett Academy wins the close one.
I say it's going to be a close one. I'm actually going to go 22-20 score prediction.
Ooh, okay. I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. I don't have a score prediction for that, but that does sound realistic.
Yeah, because this is going to be a close one down to the wire. Because,
Yep.
in my opinion, Hillcrest can easily take care of Bennett, but we've seen Hillcrest last year stumble and get blown out in some games. And honestly, I think this is a team that Bennett, if the Red Wings are hungry to get over the top and prove the doubters wrong this year, this is a good game to do it.
Yep. Next one, and I forgot to text this game as well, but I'll help fill in. Next one, Hinsdale South versus Wakanda. Hinsdale South is a very hungry team this year. 4-5, let a couple games get away from them, but they have a lot back this year, starting with quarterback Langston Love, who only played 5 games last year before tearing his ACL. You got Grant Delrick back, Aiden Farrar are back. You got Matt Jeffrey back. A good chunk of Hornets are back, and Mikey Jefferson at running back. I expect a big jump for the Hinsdale South Hornets because they haven't made the playoffs in at least 8 seasons.
Yeah, Hinsdale South, I mean, they all four of their wins last year were in conference and they still had a point differential over 50. So I think honestly, this would be a good game for them to get themselves righted in the schedule. I mean, they barely lost to Wakanda last year at home, 14-10. But I mean, you're looking at some of their teams. I mean, their wins last were blowout wins. I mean, three of them were shutouts over Layden, Addison Trail, Proviso East.
Proviso.
Um, well, Proviso East, I'm sorry, but
All good.
yeah, I I mean Wakanda is a team that I feel they can easily try and get redemption over, especially with how close that game was last year. But
They lost by 4 to them. They lost by 8 to Riverside Brookfield. They lost by 3 to Willowbrook.
yeah, and
That
they had a
that's a
lot of
seven
close
and two.
games.
That's a 7-2 team right there if they get those wins. 7-2,
No,
6-3.
no doubt. I mean, yeah, they had a lot of tough losses last year. I mean, a lot of like three of them were within a score of each other. So as you mentioned, but yeah, that's a team that I feel is primed. They're ready to make the next step forward, and I think if Hinsdale South, like we said with Bennett, if they're ready to take that next step forward, this is a good game for them to do that.
And I think they will. Next one. We got two hard-hitting teams hitting the gridiron. Batavia and Glenbard West. Batavia is coming off a semifinal appearance. Last year, they did lose a lot, though. They lost their quarterback, Ryan Bowe. But as they always say, next man up against Glenbard West, led by Mason Ellens, the Iowa State commit. I I love this matchup, Matt. There's going to be a lot of defense unloaded in this game.
There's going to be a lot of defense going here. Batavia, talked about them quite a bit last year. They are a very hard hitting team. Those Bulldogs, they know how to get to the ball, but we'll see how they do. They lost a lot of key pieces, but going up against another hard hitting team like Glenbard East, it's going to be a good one.
Exactly. You mean, exactly. Glenbard West, you mean?
Or Glenbard West, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Glenbard West and Batavia, always two playoff teams. I expect this to be a good one. Both teams reload every year. Should be a hard hitting game.
Yeah.
If I'm going to pick a winner for that game, Matt, and my winner for Hinsdale South Wakanda, I'm going to take Hinsdale South. I'm going to say Batavia gets that week 1 upset special.
Okay, you and I are going to disagree on this, but I'm actually going to go with Glenbard West. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I think Batavia, the losses that they've had on both sides of the ball is really going to affect them in some ways this year, and I think tomorrow night Glenbard West is going to beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah, I feel like Well, I guess for this one, whoever wins the turnover battle will get the win. But
Yeah,
I'm taking the
whoever.
slight edge towards Batavia.
Yeah, I okay, but it's going to be a close one, but I'm going Glenbard West.
Good choice. Good choice. Next one, IC takes on St. Mary's of St. Louis. New look team for IC, but they always find a way to reload. Again, next man up.
They got a long road trip going against a team all the way down south near St. Louis. This is going to be a close one, I feel, tomorrow, but I'm ultimately going the home team, St. Mary's of St. Louis. I mean, IC just has such a long drive to get down there. They got to get themselves ready. That's a three and a
Right.
half, almost 4 hour drive. You and I have made that trip before.
We did the Gateway this year for a race, but you know, I see, they want, if they want to be the best, got to beat the best. I say they will not let the 3 hour road trip get to them or the almost 4 hour road trip get to them and get the win. Close one, a close win for IC.
Close one. I think this is going to be a close one because IC is looking to take that next step towards being one of the elite teams in IHSA. But ultimately, I think you said it. They got to beat the best. St. Mary's right now is still the best, but it's going to be a close one.
Yep. Next matchup, our DuPage state qualifying team last year, Downers Grove North
Oh,
takes on O'Fallon at Illinois Wesleyan. I love this matchup right here.
oh, yeah. This is a hard hitting matchup. We saw down the Trojans last year. They looked very good. They did lose a couple guys. They lost their big guy in Owen Thulin. Owen Thulin. I'm sorry,
Owen
he's gone.
Foolin, Noah Battle at running back, but Owen Lansu is back at quarterback. And speaking of Thulin, his brother Oliver Thulin will be back, along with Charlie Cruz.
All right. This is gonna be, when they set it up at like neutral territory such as Illinois Wesleyan, this is gonna be a fun matchup here. I've seen Illinois Wesleyan. It's a nice campus. I've been down there, Bloomington last year. O'Fallon, that's a team you cannot sleep on as well. That's gonna
Nope,
be
it'll be a hard hitting game, but I'm going to give Downers Grove North the edge.
I'm gonna give Downers Grove North the edge too. They're just gonna barely, barely, barely take it over here, but it's gonna be a close one again for sure.
Next one, Glenbard East takes on Willowbrook. The Rams are coming off their first quarterfinal appearance since 1999 against a Willowbrook team that nobody should sleep on. I like this matchup too.
Yeah, yeah. I Willowbrook, we talked about them too last year. That's a team that it's another one that's ready to take the next step forward, and they can do that. They can do that right here, right now, tomorrow night.
I feel like the line will be the key factor for the Rams. They lost a lot on offense, but I
Yeah.
think the line on both sides of the ball will be key for Glenbard East this year.
Hey, it's a battle of the trenches for Glenbard East. The Rams, they need to win that battle of the trenches, and if they do that, I mean, they'll have a good shot over Willowbrook, but Willowbrook is not going to go easily.
Exactly. Next matchup, and this is a team that I'm expecting to take a huge step this year. Addison Trail takes on Streamwood. Addison Trail made it to the playoffs for the first time since 2014. Addison Trail brings back a lot of key returners. Addison Trail brings back a lot of key starters. I like this Addison Trail team. I am taking them to beat Streamwood. You got Casey Carlson back, Raja Korn, and Nico Dill back at quarterback.
Yeah, I honestly, Addison Trail team that was up and coming last year, they're going to take that next step forward against Streamwood. They had a lot of tough losses last year, but again, they made the playoffs for the first time in almost a decade, and they're going to take that next step forward this year. I'll go Addison Trail with you.
Next one, Kenwood versus St. Francis.
Eesh. Um, I'm I'm gonna go Kenwood on this one. The St. Francis football team, they have been stuck in mediocrity for the past few seasons. Last year was not any better for them. I'm going Kenwood.
I mean, I wouldn't quite say mediocrity and stuff. They just couldn't get over the hump in the semifinals.
Yeah, but they came down to earth quite a bit last year.
They did. There were a couple games where they came down to earth. They obviously came crashing down to earth in that semifinal against Nazareth
Yeah,
because their quarterback graduated, but you got Ian Willis back, Zach Washington, Brady Palmer, or
yeah.
are back. Gavin Moeller returns. But Kenwood, they've been a team on the rise. They are a very fast team. I will agree with you on that, Matt. I think Kenwood will pull a week one upset special.
I think Kenwood will pull up the victory here too. I feel like the St. Francis Spartans, they're just I feel like Kenwood's gonna take care of them.
Exactly. And if St. Francis wins, Matt will be eating shit next week.
I will be eating a fresh serving of manure for breakfast here on the show next week if they end up losing that.
Next one, Hyde Park and Montini. Montini finally got back to the playoffs last year after missing out the last 2 years. They'll definitely take that extra step. They definitely will take that extra step forward. I will take Montini to beat Hyde Park.
I'm going Montini too. They've had some good moments last year. We saw them in some of their matches.
I like this Montini team. Jenna Gentano Carbonero is back for his senior year. I expect him to take a huge step this year.
Yeah, I think I saw Montini in a couple of Bennett highlights last year that they were going up against them. I think this Montini team is going to be ready to take that step forward and make it back to the playoffs again. I mean, they had a good run at it last year, and they're going to continue that progression this year.
Exactly. I really love this team, and they're definitely going to go off to on the right foot and take down Hyde Park. Next one, Providence Catholic and Wheaton North. This will be a good one.
Providence Catholic, you can't go wrong with them. They are easily one of the better teams around in this area here.
I will actually lean towards Providence Catholic, and they'll get off to a hot start beating Wheaton North.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think Providence Catholic, we saw them last year with a big win, big wins over teams like Bennett and one of the other teams that we talked about.
They made it in the playoffs at 5-4, but some of those 5-4 teams are good 5-4 teams, and Providence was one of those 5-4 teams last year.
Yes, definitely a team that I feel they let teams hang around a little bit and had some close losses, but 5-4, they were pretty good 5-4 playoff team.
Exactly. They lost by a touchdown to St. Lawrence, who made it all the way to the state championship game. They lost by 11 to Carmel.
Yeah,
And then yeah, they just just had a huge favorite going into the playoffs and just made a
yeah,
big run. But don't sleep on this Wheaton North team this year. Sure, they've got some new faces, but Wheaton North always finds a way to, wake up. Rich Schilling is back at wideout. Dylan Jung will likely go both ways at linebacker and possibly running back. You'll have John Hurst, Carl Gibbons, and Aiden Vardy back on the O line.
yeah.
This will be a close game, but the edge will go to Providence.
All right. I give Providence the edge as well.
Next one, Glenbard South versus Wheaton South. I think Wheaton South takes that huge step this year. Tigers will be a playoff team this year. Luca Carbonero is back. He'll be throwing to Amari Williams and Illinois State commit Brady Gonkin. I like
All
this
right.
team.
Yeah, Wheaton South. I think Wheaton South is that team that's going to take the next step forward. I've driven by Glenbard South plenty of times. It's a nice stadium out there right off of Butterfield, but I mean, stadium looks only get you so far. I think Wheaton South has a better looking team here in tomorrow's matchup.
I liked how you put it that way. The
hmm
game will be at Wheaton South. I feel like, which is the nicer stadium, and Wheaton South gets the win.
I agree with that. I agree with that too.
Next matchup, Wheaton Academy host Second Baptist from Houston.
Wow.
This is a really exciting Wheaton Academy team. You got Brandon Keeble's back at running back. Gino Spinelli is back at wideout. This is a fast and exciting Wheaton Academy team. He told
Th-
me a lot of things about the new quarterback, Nathan Dowry, who will be taking over for Brett Casper.
And this team they're going up against from Houston?
Yep, Second Baptist.
Wow. That's
I'm going to give the edge to Wheaton Academy.
I go the edge to Wheaton Academy too. That's wow, what a matchup to start the season taking on a team from Houston. That's
Texas high school football is no joke.
no, they're no joke, but I think coming into hostile territory in Illinois here. I give Wheaton Academy the edge.
Yep. Second Baptist went 8-5 last year, so a good first test for Wheaton Academy. We will take the Warriors for this one.
I like the Warriors too.
Next one. An interesting one. Glenbar North versus Bartlett. Panthers went 0-9 last year. So they can't go worse than 0-9.
Again, they can't go worse than 0-9, but what do they have to look forward to this year in terms of trying to get better?
Some wins, hopefully. You got key players back like Dylan Bradford, Teddy Dost, Xavier Cottrell, Chase Mora, and Danny Mahoney. So, and then of course you got Tyler Havorick, Lucas Kramer, Dylan Hendy are back. Are back. And then you got Jacek Thompson and Zachariah Morris are back at wideout, and Donato Gates will likely be the running back this year. So hopefully this veteran squad will help out the Panthers.
Yeah, they will, but they're going to have a tough uphill climb this year, I think.
We've seen them bounce back before. In 2019, the Panthers went 0-9. I'm sorry. In 2018, the Panthers went 0-9. Following year, made the playoffs at 6-3.
I mean, they can definitely do it, but okay, I was a little bit worried. They said 2019 went 0-9, 2020, and the COVID year went undefeated and made the playoffs. I was like, COVID year doesn't count. COVID year
No,
doesn't
it
count. You
doesn't.
had
No,
all
it
those
doesn't.
restrictions and everything. I was worried you'd be saying that. I was like, yeah, but I was gonna come at you about that one, but I'm not sure what this Panthers team has in them this year.
Exactly. All we can hope for is, a bounce back. Again, they can't go worse than 0-9. Bartlett, on the other hand, they were 4-5 last year, but they lost in a couple close games too. They lost by
And
7. They lost by 7 to West Chicago and 6 to East Aurora.
and that's
You
why
would
I'm
what?
going. That's why I'm going Bartlett here for this one. They had some close games, and I think they get off to a good start against Easy Pickings tomorrow night.
Easty Pickens, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Yep.
take Bartlett for that one as well. Should be a good game. Glenbar North will definitely learn a lot, but Bartlett is the pick. Next one. This is another team you shouldn't sleep on. Lake Park takes on Conant. The
Ooh.
biggest question for Lake Park: can they beat the winning teams?
Yeah,
They
that
went
is a
four.
thing.
They went 4-5 last year, but they beat teams with losing records. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Lake Park. 4-5 is not bad, but
Yeah.
you got to get some of those. You got to at least get a win or two against those winning teams.
Yeah, you can't be writing off like the Miami Dolphins for a long time now. You gotta put together some wins. I mean, we saw the Miami Dolphins last year make the playoffs, but I mean, look at who they beat. The Chargers, the Broncos barely beat the Raiders. I mean, you beat the Commies. You beat up on all the easy teams, and then in the wild
You
card
limped
round,
you limped past that one team from Texas. We can't say that name because it's going to cut our
that
Wi-Fi.
was that was their only matchup where they actually beat a winning team, but that was just
Yep,
barely. But still, I
exactly.
mean, you gotta piece together some big moments. You gotta put together some wins. I think this will be the thing here for Lake Park and the Lancers. Again, I've been to that stadium before. Real nice stadium to compete on for marching band, and obviously a great football stadium as well. But we'll see what they got tomorrow night.
I'm taking Lake Park for this matchup. You got Nick Menos. You got Nick Menos back at wideout. George, hopefully I say his name. George Zamoranis will be at quarterback. Rob Maneko will carry the rock this year, along with other key players back. I'm gonna take Lake Park.
I'm gonna go against them, but I think they come up just short. They're gonna put up a challenge, but they're just gonna come up just short.
It should be a fun one. Next one. Glenbrook South versus York. York, another team I expect to take a huge step this year. They are coming off back-to-back semifinal appearances. These two teams met last year, and where the Dukes won. I like this York team this year. And you got their colors on. Nice. Bruno Massa will anchor the offense at QB. Jimmy Connors back at lineman, along with Joe Reif and Evan Gahn are names to watch out for. And keep an eye out for Hunter Stepanik, who will go both ways at tight end and defensive end.
Yeah, York. I've had relatives and cousins of mine that went to York High School way back when in the day. I'm gonna go them as well. I think York is gonna pull out here to an easy week 1 win.
They do have a new coach at the helm after Coach Fitzgerald went to Marist, but I still like this team.
Yeah, I still like York quite a bit.
Yep. And that'll do it for our DuPage games of the week. Now, Matt, let's go to our IHSA games of the week, the good ones. And we're going to start with this one. This category, Matt, is basically teams that love offense. Because let's be real, these are some exciting matchups. East St. Louis versus Loyola.
Oh,
Let's just
I
say
remember.
defense will be optional in this game.
Yeah, defense will be very optional in this one. I remember my high school, Plainfield North, made it all the way to the state finals back in 2016, and
Ah,
we
you were a
got the
witness of the big controversy semifinal game.
I heard so much about it. I wasn't there to witness it, but I heard so much about it, and yeah, that I'm just gonna say we lucked out big time on that one. But yeah, we made it all the way to the state finals against East St. Louis, and they ended up beating the brakes off of us big time in that conference game. I was fortunate to not go to U of I to experience such a butt kicking, but I like this Loyola Academy team going up against East St. Louis. Is this in East St. Louis or this up here?
It's at East St. Louis.
Oh, this is going to be a big road trip game here. This is going to be a fun one. But again, you said it defense is optional, but I think Loyola Academy has the edge.
Exactly. First team to Oh, this will be tough. First team to pass 35 points wins.
Yeah, exactly. This again. This is just an offensive gun show tomorrow night, I feel.
Exactly. Next, yeah, it'll be an offensive gun show. It'll be a Saturday game. So nice.
Oh,
I
okay.
like that move. It'll be a long road trip for Loyola, but
Yeah.
a lot of offense in that game.
They don't have to drive down there that night and then come back home late that night. They
Good
get to go on
Lord, jeez.
Saturday.
Yeah, Loyola's got two straight good matchups because they got to take on East St. Louis and then Glenbard West next week, which we will talk a lot about that next week.
Mm.
This one will be another, I feel like will be another Texas shootout with some defense, hopefully to help out. Maine South takes on Lincoln Way East.
Lincoln Way East. That's another team you cannot sleep on too. I'm from the
Especially with the
area.
new quarterback in Jonas Williams, who verbally committed to Oregon. I love that duck video, by the way. I just love how dirty he did Northwestern.
That duck mascot is easily the best mascot in all of college football. There's no doubt about it.
Exactly. I like this matchup right here between Maine South and Lincoln Way East. I'm going to give the slight edge to the Griffins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the Griffins just barely with this
Yep.
one. This is gonna be a fun one.
Next one, and I'm expecting a lot of offense in this game, mainly because a lot of offense in this game. Rochester versus Simeon.
Ooh,
I'm gonna say Rochester gets the slight edge
yeah, I'm gonna go Rochester on this one over
because
Simeon.
Rochester loves their offense.
Yeah, that you cannot stop that offensive might there. That they're gonna be pretty good.
Exactly. Like the only their game against Sacred Heart Griffin last year was
Yeah.
the only game where they scored the lowest amount of points, and that was
How many
31.
points was that?
31.
Oh, yeah, then I'm going Rochester on this one.
That
Big
was
time.
that was their lowest that was
Yeah.
their lowest score they had all of last year. They went 14-0 last year, and 31 points was the lowest they scored. So
Ah,
that just tells you how loaded Derek Leonard's offense will be. I
yeah.
expect another state appearance too for this Rocket offense.
Yeah, so do I. So do I.
Yeah, Rochester will be back, and Rochester is back, and their quarterback is back. Zoloff the junior, who passed for over 2,000 yards last year.
Hmm.
Zoloff did a lot of running last year, so a lot of running. So expect Brian Zoloff, I said his name right, Brian Zoloff to make a huge impact for the Rockets this year.
Yeah, I expect that to be there as well.
Simeon will definitely show, but I'm giving the big edge to Rochester, and I'll say Rochester surpasses 45 points tomorrow.
Oh, that's no doubt. I mean, 45 is the expectation for them in that offense.
Yep, I'm expecting them to surpass over 45 points, but but Simeon will also have their quarterback back, Caleb Sims.
Yeah,
Caleb Sims will be back for another year for the Wolverines,
exactly.
along with his one of his wide receiver along with one of his running backs, Lavelle Smith, in the running game. Simeon, they're just a complete fast team. So I'm going to give the edge to
Yeah,
Rochester.
yeah. I think Rochester still gets the win, but it's going to be a close one.
Yep, it'll be close at first, but then Rochester will
Run
blast
away and
off in
hide.
the second half.
Yeah, they'll run away and hide. That's your prediction.
Yep, they'll blast off in the second half.
All right. All right. I like
Next
that
one,
prediction.
we're going to take a trip to Southern Illinois. Yes, we're going to show our love to our Southern Illinois schools.
Oh boy.
Murfreesboro and Carbondale. Murfreesboro is coming off a semifinal appearance last year against where they lost to Rochester against
Yeah.
Carbondale, who's always up there in the playoffs. I expect both teams to take another step forward.
I'm gonna make you happy here. I'm gonna go Carbondale on this one. I know that. I know.
That's where Southern Illinois is, Matt. But actually, I am actually going to take Murfreesboro for this matchup.
All right. All right. All right. We got a little bit of devil's advocate going here.
Though the Red Devils return Gibson Fager, who will help lead the team this year, while Carbondale brings back a veteran squad in the passing game and running game. I think this game will be close, but I'll give the slight edge to Murfreesboro.
All right. All right. All right. Slight game. Close game here.
Yep. Last but not least, Kankakee versus Nazareth. These two teams met last season. Kankakee won, but Nazareth got the last laugh and won the state title game last year. The defending 5A state champs are looking to build off their 5-game winning streak to end the regular. Are looking to build off their 5-game winning streak that helped ended last season.
Yeah.
They're going to start off with the win against Kankakee.
I agree. I think Nazareth is another team that is just ready to go here. They're gonna make
Logan Malachuk is back for another year. He's ready to chuck that ball down the field this season.
Yeah, he's just gonna let it rip. And I honestly, I like this Nazareth team. They've been one of the best in all of the state, and I think they'll do good against Kankakee. They came up short against them last year, but they'll have a shot at redemption coming off a state title.
Exactly. They were one of the 4 and 5 teams last year to have success in the playoffs.
And again, that just shows how underrated they are. They have woke up big time in those playoffs.
Oh yeah, sure. Some parents were pissed off that they got in at 4 and 5, but they showed that they belonged at the playoffs.
No doubt. No doubt. They showed that they were there. I mean, it's just like you have a lot of underachieving teams in the regular season who find a lot of success in the playoffs, and they were one of them.
Yep. And that wraps up the show, Matt. Matt, a good first episode of the DuPage Run and Shoot show.
Hey, thanks again for having me on. It's going to be nice talking some Illinois State football here, and excited to cover some matchups tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. We look forward Matt. Definitely going to be an exciting season for football, and excited to have you a part of the family.
I'm happy to be a part of it. Thanks again for having me on, and looking forward to seeing what these teams do.
Oh, yes. Next week, everybody, we will touch on. Next week, everyone, we'll recap the games from week 1 and preview the week 2 matchups. And we're adding in a new segment, Team of the Week.
All right. All right. Looking forward to it.
Yep. Matt and I will pick our teams of the week. And we will explain why they are teams of the week, because every team deserves all the love in the world. And if there's a team that will stand out to us next week, we'll show your love.
We got you. We got you.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to the first episode of the DuPage Run and Shoot. We will see you next week.